Hello everybody, welcome back to That BS Guy, your one-stop shop for everything bariatric surgery related, if I can talk. So today we're going to be talking about the different types of bariatric surgeries. Now, full disclosure, I am not going to be talking about every type of variation of bariatric surgery. I'm going to be talking about the main four. Alright, so if you are looking for something more specific, you can feel free to drop a message down below, and I can probably direct you into where to find that information. Or if you're looking for, if there's enough people wanting to know something about a specific type of surgery, then I may make a supplemental video, a part 2 to this later on. Anywho, so we're going to be talking about the four major types of bariatric surgery. So when I was looking around, when I was starting to figure out which direction I wanted to take, I didn't really know anything about the surgeries. And this is not something you want to go into lightly. It's not a I win button. It's a life change. And you have to really think hard and fast if you're willing to make those sacrifices, because, there's a lot of changes that are going to be happening regardless of which surgery you take, and there's also an implied risk depending on how you want to do it, and a financial cost also to really consider. Okay, so there is two main components of bariatric surgery. Okay, so if you're out there looking around for bariatric surgery, or if you're interested in this to help better your life, as I did, you're going to see that bariatric surgeries either come with one or both of types of weight loss components. And so the first component of the bariatric surgery is called restriction. So the restriction component is to physically limit the amount of food the stomach can hold. So we'll talk about what that means, because that means different things for different surgeries. But that also makes it so it limits the amount of calories you can eat, and it makes you feel full faster. If you were anything like me, you could eat, almost a whole pizza to yourself and still be like, hey, I want to eat that other half a pizza, and all in one sitting. And you would feel full to a certain extent, but you wouldn't know until you actually felt that fullness. With these surgeries, you feel full very, 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 very quickly, and overeating will hurt. And then the other component is malabsorption, meaning that there is something that's done to your intestines depending on the surgery, where the absorbing tract of the intestines is not absorbing all of the food, meaning that some of the intestines are bypassed in certain cases, and you're only going to be absorbing a portion of that food. So once again, you have the restriction component, and then you also have the malabsorptive component. Some people only need the restriction component. Some people need more than that. It really just depends on what type of person you are, how your lifestyle is, what your mental state's going to be. But there's a lot of stuff that's really taken consideration when looking at these surgeries. So as we go down the list, please make sure to, that if you want to rewatch this video, you can feel free to do so all the time if you want. But be thinking about where you kind of fit in your lifestyle, all right, and how you really feel it's going to impact you. Okay, so the most famous one, which, whenever you tell somebody that you are going to have a bariatric surgery, they have to go, oh, are you going to have a bypass? No, Tommy, I'm not having a bypass. So, but the most commonplace term is for the gastric bypass. So the Roux-en-Y is what they call it now. It's the newest version of the bypass. And what that does is that instead of the sleeve gastrectomy, okay, where they cut the stomach so it creates like a sleeve, as it were, and I'll talk about that in a second, it creates a pouch. Okay, so they cut the stomach, basically, if this is your stomach, they cut basically this part off so it falls down, and you only have like a little pouch that it goes into, and then they reroute the intestine to that. okay? And then they reroute the other part of the lower intestine that's still attached to the stomach to mix in down below. So you still have some of those natural stomach juices that still flow in. Nothing is removed in this surgery. So basically the food bypasses a portion of the small intestines, and fewer nutrients and calories are absorbed. So this is one of those surgeries where you need to have supplemental nutrients, vitamins, in order for you to feel, in order for you not to be malnourished, because that does happen. It is what they call the gold standard of bariatric surgery. I mean, it's been done the whole world over many times, and so it is very effective. Now, the long-term success on this, I've read lots of different things, and you can go do your own research as far as that is concerned. But it does have a pretty good long-lasting effect. The pouch does expand over time, and it is slightly reversible since the stomach is not removed in the surgery. So I wouldn't say that that's something you should do as far as like reversing it if you're gonna do it, but I will say that that is something that could be done. The next one is the laparoscopic adjustable gastric banding. This involves a band containing an inflatable balloon that is placed around the upper part of the stomach and then fixed in place. So this creates a small stomach pouch, kind of like the Roux-en-Y, above the band, with a very narrow opening at the rest to go into the rest of the stomach. A port is placed under the skin of the abdomen, so somewhere around this yonder area. A tube connects the port to the band, and then by injecting or removing the fluid, so they can adjust the band's whatever that is, closing and opening, how tight that is. They can adjust that as they go through. Gastric banding restricts, so this is strictly about the restrictive component, the amount of food to your stomach can hold, so you feel full sooner, but it doesn't reduce the absorption of the calories and nutrients. So what that means is that, you know, whatever you do eat, you're still going to absorb everything you eat. Okay, it's just going to restrict you in the fact that that part of that stomach only can fit so much food in. There's been issues with people working their stomach in a way where that kind of expands that part of the stomach more, and so you got this lopsided stomach inside you that doesn't really do much. And so, and not to mention that you also have something foreign permanently inside your body. So that's the downsides of it. The plus sides on it, because you're still absorbing everything you eat, you don't need to have any supplements. There's no restrictions on what you can eat and drink and all of that fun stuff. And it is fully reversible because you're not making any permanent changes to the internal structures of your body. So there's some pluses and minuses in terms of what that is. The most popular surgery right now, as far as I can see, particularly among women, is the sleeve gastrectomy. Okay, and so this is the one that most likely, if you have an insurance policy that does cover bariatric surgery, this is the surgery probably they will cover first before anything else. The sleeve gastrectomy is 100% a restrictive surgery. So what it does is, if this is your stomach, they basically cut the stomach in half, or even more so. So you think of your stomach going from the size of a deflated football down to the size of your thumb, as far as the width, what you can fit in there. So liquids and stuff, that's minimally impacted by this, with the exception of the opening and what have you. You can't gulp anymore and what have you, but it'll still go through you like normal. But food, on the other hand, that, only having something as thick as your thumb, that is going to fill you up pretty darn quick, and a lot of people have had great success with that, because it creates a tube-like structure in there, and it severely restricts what you can feel. So it's kind of like the gastric band, where it restricts how the amount you can put in your stomach, and it also restricts. It also makes you feel full faster. Now the downside to this surgery is that over time, that you can stretch it back out. Okay, so if you look through YouTube and online, you'll hear people's stories where they've had this surgery and they lost a lot of weight during the first, 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden they're back up to 300 plus pounds. And it's not common, but it's also not uncommon. It's just something that does happen. And so sometimes they can do it again if the stomach has stretched out that far again, or they can switch it to be going into a bypass, a revision to a bypass, or a duodenal switch, which is the surgery I'm talking about next. So the next surgery is called the biliopancreatic diversion with duodenal switch or duodenal switch. Call it what you want. It's the same thing. There are 2 other variations of this that are a little bit newer, which is called the duodenal switch loop, or the SADIES or SADIES, or the SIPS surgery. That is not what I'm referring to right now. So those are 2 newer versions of that that has basically, instead of 2 different types of connections that they switch your small intestines around with, there's only 1. I won't really get into that. I may do that in a separate video specifically about the duodenal switch. But this is the surgery that I actually just had about 2 weeks ago. I had the traditional duodenal switch. So the first part of this is exactly the same as a sleeve gastrectomy. So you have that tube now in your stomach as you would in the VSG, vertical sleeve gastrectomy, and so you have that restrictive component. But then they also they close off the middle section of the intestine and attaches the last part directly to the duodenum. That's what the duodenal switch is. Okay, so the separated section of the intestine isn't removed from the body. Instead, it's reattached to the end of the intestine, allowing the bile and pancreatic digestive juices to flow into this part of the intestine. So it's basically just a transport tube for your stomach juices, because the rest of that stomach is not there anymore. And that's what's called the biliopancreatic diversion. Basically, as a result, the food bypasses most of the small intestine, so instead of going all through that tract, you're only getting maybe 120 to 175 centimeters, depending on your body structure, of absorption tract in there. So the food bypasses most of the small intestine, limiting the absorption of calories and nutrients. This, together with the smaller side of the stomach, leads to weight loss. The reason why I chose this surgery over the others is because this one has been shown in research to be the longest lasting success. And my metabolism, for my family, is atrocious. So I knew that eventually, if I just had the sleeve, that I would eventually stretch that puppy back out and I would probably gain my weight back. But with this other piece on it, which also malabsorbs, so for example, I'm only going to be absorbing about 15 to 20% of the calories I eat in general after what is already restricted. So this surgery does require me to have, vitamin supplements daily. Small sacrifice to pay, but for everything all considered. But ultimately, it's really your call. So this is, I can talk about myself all day, but, if you're watching this video, you're interested in knowing what is going on, what are the latest trends, and I will link a link below to a clinic that has a good page that kind of explains, and they even have videos over what these procedures do and go through. If you do have any questions, you can feel free to drop a note down below, or to hit me up on Twitter, and I'll get back to you as best as I can. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Don't forget to please subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.